In this video, I will show a fun technique on how to use your alphabet stamps creatively. I will also show how I turned watercolor pencils into liquid watercolors. For both techniques, I'll be using the contents of the Hero Arts My Monthly Hero December 2023 kit. And later on in the video, I use a new product from Hero Arts for the background of my project. Hi, this is Anna from Crafty Anna Studio. Welcome to my YouTube channel where I share paper crafting and card making tutorials. First, let's take a quick look at this month's kit. This kit is 8 by 10 inches, bigger than the usual kit, which is about 6 by 8 as you can see here. As per usual, the kit comes with an information card that has inspiration and also lists the contents of the classic and the premium kit at the back. The main reason this kit is different from the usual is because of this extra large alphabet stamp set. This set contains bold alphabet stamps and also coordinating images for each alphabet, like A is for acorn, B is for balloon, C is for clouds, D is for dream catcher, so forth and so on. This kit also comes with an alphabet cover plate die, which also cuts out letters which you can use in your projects. The other contents in the classic kit is a water flow brush, as well as a 10-pack of watercolor pencils, which we'll use later on in the video. And let's not forget the 6 sheets of 8.5 by 11 watercolor paper. If you're a subscriber to the premium kit, you will get an additional pack of goodies. A 4 by 6 numbers clear stamp set, as well as a sea salt re-inker, gold glimmer metallic ink, and finally, a fine line applicator which you can use with either the sea salt re-inker or the gold glimmer metallic ink to add some interest to your projects. Before I show you the technique, let's swatch out these pencils. I've already filled up the water flow brush with water. I'm going to start with the order of the rainbow. So first, I will take the red and I'll scribble onto a piece of watercolor paper. Then I'll take the orange and scribble it right below. Then yellow, green, blue, purple, I think this is magenta, brown, gray, and then white. But see, the white won't show through, so first I'll take a marker pen, a black marker pen, and I will create a little dark rectangle below, and then I'm going to scribble the white watercolor pencil on top. I just want to see if it will show on dark paper. Then I'll take the watercolor brush, squeeze out a little just to let the water start flowing, and then I will take it to the pencil and start activating the scribbles. And before I move on to the next color, I'm going to just clean my brush on a piece of cloth. So then there's the green, there's the blue, purple. These pencils are actually quite pigmented. I was quite surprised. And we're gonna have some fun using it later on. When it comes to the white, it doesn't really show through, so I guess we will just use this color to lighten the other colors in the set. I am definitely not an expert in using watercolor pencils, so instead I decided to turn them into liquid watercolors, of which I'm more familiar with. First, I sharpen each pencil very carefully. I try not to rush this part as I do not want to break the tip. Then, I take all the shavings and place them carefully in a paint palette, throwing away the wooden part. Then I take a spray bottle filled with water and squirt a tiny amount onto the palette. You can use a dropper for this if you happen to have one handy. Then with a water flow brush, I mix the shavings with the water to activate the pigment. So basically, that's how I turned watercolor pencils into liquid watercolors. Off camera, I'm going to work on filling up the rest of the palette. Now let's move on to the technique using alphabet stamps. I mounted the letter A onto an acrylic block. Then, with a water flow brush, I grabbed some red pigment from the palette and brushed it directly onto the stamp. The consistency of the watercolor should be a little thick so it stays on the stamp without pooling. Then with the paint still wet, I stamp it directly onto the paper. I use the brush to distribute the paint to even it all out. I'm going to use this technique to stamp out my own sentiment for the card. But first, I'll use a T-ruler to draw a straight line across a piece of watercolor paper. This will serve as my guide for stamping the letters of the word happy. I take the letter H and mount it on an acrylic block. Then I reactivated the red paint with a little water from the water flow brush, then painted it onto the surface of the H stamp. The paint here looks a little too watery, but it's okay because I can always paint over it later on after I stamp the letter out. Then with both hands, I place the stamp directly over the paper and stamp it down gently. Then I took some paint to darken the color a little. Then I repeated the same technique for the letter A, this time with the orange paint. When I stamp out the A, I overlap the right base of the H with the left base of the A. This will create a unique look to the word. Then I will add more paint to darken the color. You must have noticed by now that I'm doing the letters in rainbow order. As I am working on the rest of the letters in the word happy, I would like to take this opportunity to let you know that this is my last video for the year. It is my hope that if you haven't subscribed yet, that you would do so. I would love to reach 1,000 subscribers by the beginning of the year 2024. I know it's a tall order, but I really love what I'm doing and I would like to share this passion to as much people as possible. Thank you so much for being here and supporting my channel. Now back to the technique. So here I am darkening up the colors a little just to make the words jump out more. I'm being very careful in the areas where the letters overlap, so the colors don't start bleeding into each other. Now that this is dry, I'm going to outline each letter just like this tag I made. I'll be using this fine line 0.20 micron pen. I start with the straight lines first, going in one direction. You could use a ruler for this, but I prefer to freehand. I don't mind it looking imperfect. For me, it just adds to the appeal, and it's handcrafted, and it actually looks pretty playful. This is actually perfect for kids' cards. I outlined the overlapping areas as well to give each letter its definition. I keep my hand in one place and just move the paper around depending on the direction of the outline. This part of the P is pretty tricky. But did you know that this part of the P is called a bowl? I did some research on typography. I just love looking up these random facts about random things. Do you do that too? After outlining all the letters, I'm going to now stamp out the word birthday underneath. I'll be using a stamp from the Happy Thanks Stampin' Cut XL. Now that that's done, I will work on the background. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, Hero Arts came out with a new product, an embossing plate. This plate does not cut out the design. Instead, it embosses it onto the paper. You can actually use it as is, but I like to add ink onto the surface. I just gently swipe it across the surface, not pressing hard at all. Just a slow and steady, even swipe. I used green apple ink for this for a tone and tone look. After inking up the plate, I place it gently on top of a piece of cardstock. I do this very carefully so as not to smear the ink. The sandwich for this is the same as what you would do for a regular cutting plate. Start with the base, then the clear cutting plate, the cardstock and a metal embossing plate, then the top plate. Run it through your die cutting machine and voila! A beautifully embossed background. I made one in blue as well, and this is what we'll use for the background of our card. To clean the plate, I just sprayed it with alcohol and with a microfiber cloth just wiped away the ink. To cut out the sentiment, I used one of the dies from the Scalloped Edge Infinity die set. Unfortunately, I forgot to turn on the camera when I assembled the card. But basically, I cut out the background using a slightly larger scalloped edge, then mounted it onto a white top folding card base. As a finishing touch to embellish the card, I will use these fruity embellishments which came in an earlier kit. I think it was a March 2023 My Monthly Hero kit. I hope you enjoyed my video and learned something new. If you're interested in any of the products I used in this project, I have them all linked in my blog post in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye!